welcome everybody to the latest in our series of the Blackline webinars. So this is the January one, and today we're going to focus on what I would call some out-the-box standard functionality from Blackline, but ultimately, I think, generally speaking across customers, it's generally underused, and that is really auto-grouping and the account rules. Now let me just move on to the next slide. So terms we're going to cover, there's a little bit just around about Continuate at the beginning, and then, as I say, we'll get into the two areas we're going to talk about today, so the account rules and the auto-grouping rules. In terms of format, I've got a slide or two on each of those, and then we're actually going to go into our partner instance and actually, look at the rules in a bit more detail, and actually going to create some of the rules, and I can show you the kind of the outputs of them and so on as well. I'm aiming to have some time for Q&A at the end, and I've also just got some next steps as well. So just a little bit here just around Continuate. So as an organisation, we're a group of transformation professionals. We're really very much a boutique consultancy, but effectively we're made up of a series of transformation experts, system experts, and the majority of Continuate staff are also qualified accountants. We are a consulting partner of Blackline, and you'll see the silver badge there at the top. We're also partners of some other software providers alongside Blackline as well. We also look at some RTR transformation services, and also similarly around some shared services as well. Why we see ourselves as different, just quickly, so very much we focus on adoption. We're not here to tick a box and just say we've done a technical deploy. We want to make sure that what we deploy is ultimately properly adopted, and ultimately clients or customers are getting the most out of that bit of transformation that we've done. We're certainly very agile. We can form teams, implement plans, and ultimately deliver those benefits kind of very quickly as well. And I'm pleased to say in the past, well, maybe not all of the transformations that we've done have had an award. They've certainly been successful, but as I say, we've had some award-winning transformations in the past as well. And in the top right there, you can see some of the awards we've won from Blackline specifically. Just a little bit about me. I will not spend too much time on this slide at all, but I work within the technical delivery pillar here within Continuate, and I'm a senior manager within that pillar. I've basically been implementing Blackline for the best part of kind of 10 years as well, and I'll probably just leave my intro at that as well. So just in terms of the two pieces that we're going to talk about, so account rules is first, and I'll say just a couple of slides to kind of set the scene a little bit here before we go into the system itself. So the account rules themselves very much standard Blackline functionality, and ultimately they're used to facilitate the use of predefined configurable rules that basically are able to update master data points within Blackline and actually remove a whole heap of effort by the administrators. So utilising these accounts, it kind of increases the level of control and validation from a system perspective, while at the same time really reducing the manual effort, as I say, for those administrator roles. So fundamentally, in my mind, a kind of win-win scenario. Now, whilst account rules are available to all Blackline customers, you do need to turn them on within the settings. I'm going to go into the system in a wee second. I will demonstrate that. It's worth mentioning that the first time you turn this on, you will receive a warning alert, and it's just due to the functionality or capability of the rules as well. So it will say something like you should contact Blackline, just to make sure you understand exactly, how the rules work and say the impact of these. Now, generally, it's projects, and we've actually just come out of one of these on both of these topics that we're here to discuss today. They're generally small, short, low-cost projects where we can cover like that end-to-end design or end-to-end deployment, I should say, over a kind of 4 to 6 week period as well. Now, there's also the caveat, it depends on the complexity and the volumes and stuff that you've got as well. But generally speaking, these types of deployments are, as I say, quite quick to do and generally kind of low cost. Now, in terms of the account rules and just some key facts around these, and again, I'll show you all this in the system as well in a second. But effectively, the rules are designed with a series of inputs, which in Blackline terminology is the filter criteria, and ultimately that's to capture the population of accounts that we want to change or do something with. Followed by the output, which is known in Blackline as the assignment, which is really the action to be taken if the first set of criteria meets or account meets the first set of kind of criteria within there. Now, also, there's multiple administration roles within Blackline. Now, for the account rules, only the system or business administrators have any access to view or edit the rules within Blackline, so it's excluded from the local admin profiles. Now, the rules themselves can be configured to run on import or can be manually triggered. Generally speaking, the vast majority of rules should be set up to run on import. The whole point of the account rules is to try to reduce some of the manual effort. There are some specific use cases where actually maybe it's not the most appropriate ones, but certainly the ones we look at today, as my examples, will all run on import. There is one exception to this, and it's by design from Blackline, so we can use the account rules to generate some due dates, but as I say, by design, they can't be run on import and they do need to be triggered manually, but that's really the only part where there's that kind of restriction. Now, again, when I go into the system, you'll see them, but the rules run from top to bottom in order sequence, and basically if a lower rule has contravening criteria to a rule higher up the list, Blackline will ultimately take that output from the last rule. Now, the rules, and again, I'll demonstrate this in a second, can be previewed to sense check the output prior to running the rule. And in fact, there's actually a control to run these manually. You do need to preview first. But as I say, there is no undo option, around these. So again, it's just a good sense check. To be honest, regardless of whether we're using account rules or not, we do recommend that regular downloads of settings should be scheduled and extracts taken, regardless of whether we're using the rules, just in terms of any backup. As I say, there is no undo option once the rules have ran. In addition, where I guess there's some initial configuration or large changes of the rules are going to occur, obviously we recommend extensive testing around that, or ultimately a conversation with us, especially if it's an initial configuration as well. One thing that's, I think, again, very important, there's some flexibility around these rules, is that the account rules can actually be edited at any time and they're not locked by Blackline in any shape or form. So again, some flexibility if you want to change these in future or anything like that. And again, we can just make sure it's fit for business purposes. Now, I'm going to come out of here because I think bringing it to life through the system is certainly the way to go. So I've now logged into, or I'm already logged into Blackline here. I am actually in our kind of partner instance now. What I've done so far here is I've actually loaded a set of balances in just for 10 accounts, just dummy here. But what you can see here in the view reconciliation screen is they've effectively picked up all of the standard settings, within the application, rather than the more specific ones which we're going to drive through the account rules. So, for example, you can see in here we've got no risk category, we've got no team, we've got no users assigned. The template is just all defaulted to general list, and then you can see here again the frequencies have just picked up the default ones from the system. And ultimately what we're going to do here is we're going to run these rules and we're going to make sure all of that metadata is effectively updated, really without any kind of manual input whatsoever. So what I want to quickly just show, this is the rules themselves, but I just want to show where the menu is for this. So within the settings, account settings, scroll down to the bottom of the screen. There is how you turn them on with the account rules. I don't want to untick it because I think it will remove the rules that I've built. But as I say, that will be not be ticked as default, but as I say, you can just tick that, and as I mentioned on the slide, you will get a little bit of an alert there as well. But as I say, there's no requirement to go to Blackline and ask them to turn this on. Now, if I actually go to the account rules themselves, and they sit in the job section. So this is the account rules themselves. Now, the ones that I've created here, I'm going to talk about now, are all the ones here that are prefixed ATP01 in the end. And then effectively there's a whole bunch of kind of black ones that Blackline have added, which I'll kind of touch on very briefly. But we're going to focus here on the top one. If I maybe just explain the screen a little bit, so just some of the columns and stuff that we've got. So on the left here, we've got risk mitigation. This is basically a viewing flag. It has no practical impact on the rules themselves. It's just allowing me, when I view the screen, to effectively identify which ones are related to identifying some sort of risk around it. We've then got, I guess, a series of symbols here. The little tick basically means that it's going to run on import. The Blackline ones further down are not currently set to run an import. Got the pencil, which is the edit, the cross, which deletes, and then this is an option to clone or copy the particular rule, which we're going to do in a wee second. Now, again, I've also got the name, so you can see, the types of things here that I'm trying to impact. So, risk ratings, and you'll notice that there is no low, which is the rule we're going to create just in a wee second. I'm also looking to do some template assignments around either bank or sub-ledger ones. I'm also looking to do some user assignments as well around that company code, and then finally some team assignments. And essentially, we have 2 teams that would come into that pool of accounts that I showed within the view reconciliation screen. Now, we do have a description field here as well. Now, I've probably taken a slightly different approach to Blackline in that I've actually made sure that my description effectively contains the criteria that filters into that particular rule, and then also the output. So you can see here where we've got like the entity, the accounts, all equals that. And then ultimately what we're trying to do with that particular rule as well. Now, in the past, I've managed kind of admin teams around this who've utilised the account rules, and actually I've found that having all this information on the front here actually saves a lot of time, because the challenge with some of the ones, if I scroll further down the bottom, is I can't see what criteria is within there, so I have to keep clicking into the rules to go and find exactly what the criteria is. So I would recommend as best practice ultimately to have that sort of information in the description, just so it's more easy to find more than anything else. Now, I'm going to clone a rule here because, as I say, I haven't created a low risk rating rule, so I want to create this, and I'm going to explain some of the functionality as we go. So I'm simply going to hit the clone button in here. So you can see here it's dropped or created another line here where I can see the one that I've cloned. So I'm simply going to go in and edit this one. Now, as I say, I'm going to make this low. So I'm just going to change the name into there to low. Again, it's still risk mitigation, so I'll leave that clicked on. I've then got some options here in terms of what type of accounts do I want to kind of apply this to. So I've got GL accounts only, group accounts, and GL and group accounts. Certainly in my examples, and I think most examples probably out there, it will be GL and group accounts, but again, there is some specific use cases, that maybe apply just to individual ones. There's the description, obviously, that we see on the prior screen, and it's copied the one here from Medium, and I'll go and correct that in a little second. Now, here's the filtering criteria that I talked about in the slides. So if I click into this, and I would say very much think of this as like Excel if statements in terms of the filter conditions. So within here, you can see I can pick many columns within here, to identify that pool of accounts that ultimately I want to impact. That huge number of I guess choices or variables to kind of pick that. And again, we can use this kind of filter conditions, to build out this logic. It's worth mentioning here, you'll see I've got 4 fields turned on. There is a limit of 20 fields per rule. So again, in terms of design, maybe there's a bit of thought process to go around that as well. If we have large amounts of criteria. I've picked a fairly basic example here in the sense that I've only got entity and account in here, and I'm naming specific accounts. You'll see here in the operator, again, there's a huge number of kind of variables that we can do. Contains, does not contain, starts with, ends with, all those types of things as well. So as I say, a huge amount of kind of flexibility. Now, I know from this set of accounts that I have rules for everything apart from GL that ends with the 4 and the GL that ends with the 7 here. So I'm simply going to go and just change those values in there. I'm going to remove that last line because I don't need an extra line, and I'm just simply going to then change the logic down here so it becomes 1, 2, 1 and 2 or 3 as well. Simply going to hit the save button. And if I move slightly further down the screen here, we can then begin to see the assignments that are coming out the back of this. So through this particular rule, I'm assigning a risk rating. I'm identifying whether it's a key or a non-key account. I'm then identifying what the appropriate frequency for these ones should be. and also whether there's a review step required, the associated frequency for that. Now, as I say, I've copied the medium one, so we need to change this one to low in here. We're going to leave the key accounts as false, and I'm going to change these to quarterly because they're low risk accounts. And I'm not going to turn on the reviewer step because that would just be there for the high risk accounts. So I'm simply just going to hit save. And what you'll see here is obviously, well, it's not always easiest to read here, better to click into it. But as you can see, the criteria there is kind of updated. Now, I can preview this, which I think is great functionality, and I can see, look, there's the 2 accounts I expect to pick up, so it's giving me the kind of the validation. Now, I'm not going to run the rule here manually. I could do, but I'm actually going to import the balances again because I want all of those 10 accounts that I showed in the previous screen here. I want all of this metadata to update, basically. The final option here is just to run an import, so simply a tick box. As I say, it depends on the use case a little bit, but generally speaking, we would expect that to be to be ticked. Now, what I'm going to do just quickly, I'm going to go and import a balance file because we need the balance file to trigger the rules themselves. They can be ran through a manual process, but I won't cover that in today's session. Generally, and I guess in a real life scenario, generally, balances get refreshed on a regular basis, and that's really what you want to trigger the rule. So to some extent, we're just going to replicate that. So I'm going to hit the import button. I will hope Blackline should hopefully turn this around in 20 odd seconds or something. So let me just quickly check till this runs. Yeah. So I've got a success. It's gone through all of the steps. If I then go back to my view reconciliation screen, so this has still got the old view where nothing is populated in terms of the metadata. If I then hit refresh, what you can see is through those rules and then doing the import, you can now see all of the risk ratings here are then applied. I've got the users applied. Again, that was from the user rule, as much as I didn't show it. You can see here we've only got, if I filter this by high, we've only got the reviewer step turned on for those applicable accounts. It's set to there is not required. We've got the teams assigned, and then we've also got the template assigned as well. Scroll slightly further to the right. Again, you can see that the frequencies have also kicked in. So highs monthly, quarterly. Low here is quarterly, never, and then the medium ones are monthly, never as well. So effectively through that process, as I say, we've removed all of the effort that would generally come around, account settings. In my example here, I've looked at specific GL accounts. There's no reason as to why this can't also be done for group accounts. It's also just picking up slightly different criteria because you may not have the actual GL number within that, the group name. But the same functionality absolutely exists as well. So that's really account rules. Now what I want to show is that then the second part of this, or I guess the admin automation part, which is really around the auto grouping rules. Now, generally speaking, I would argue that these would kind of go hand in hand. Ultimately, you can get the auto grouping rules to do the auto grouping for you, and then get the account rules then to apply the metadata. In today's example, I've sort of split these up a little bit just for, I guess, ease of use in terms of kind of demonstration. But again, just one slide and then we'll jump into the system, and I can show you exactly how these work. But again, auto grouping rules are standard Blackline functionality that basically facilitate the automatic assignment into reconciliation groups. So really do what they say on the tin. And again, these can all be customer specific and defined in any way that the customer pleases. Again, only system or business admins have access to get to these rules, or to view or to edit them. And again, similar to account rules, the auto grouping rules can be scheduled to run on import or can also be manually triggered as well. But generally speaking, again, the recommendation is to run these on import to remove that bit of manual effort. Key to the overall design of the auto grouping rules is the sequencing or order, just to make sure this is done in the most efficient, controlled, and ultimately sustainable design. Similar to account rules, there is ordering, so the rules run from top to bottom. Different from the account rules is that instead of picking up effectively the last rule, it picks up the first rule through the auto grouping rules. So if a an account meets the criteria, it's not then assessed against the rules kind of further down the list. There is a maximum of 10,000 rules that are available per Blackline module, and again, I'll show you the different modules when we're in the system in a wee second. But once a rule has been used, i.e. it's been triggered to assign an account to a group, it's essentially locked in Blackline and cannot be edited or deleted. Technically, when we're in the system, you'll see it. There is a delete button, but we shouldn't press that because ultimately the rules still sit in the back end of Blackline as much as we can delete them from the front end. And really, the overall design is key to ensure that the rules are configured in the most efficient way, always with one eye on the future as well in terms of any other entities or anything like that may come in future. And the final point here is just around any only ungrouped accounts can be assigned via the auto-grouping rules. So if you're trying to do a large regrouping exercise, unfortunately, these rules will not pull accounts out of existing groups. That would have to be done through the kind of standard process through the upload templates. But really, I guess, from a process perspective, this is more aimed at new accounts coming in, within a GL extract, and again, just removing that bit of effort for the admin teams. Now, again, I'm going to jump out into the system again and quickly demonstrate this. No need to turn anything on. As I say, it's turned on by default this time. I have a different company code just to show you here. So we've got ATP03, very similar here in terms of the data. It does have a team assigned, but no risk. And I don't expect the risk to be updated, as I only built the rules for ATP01. What I really want to focus on here is you'll see here on the right-hand side, so this is my account group column. So I can see that none of these accounts have actually been assigned to any group. And again, what we're going to do here is we're going to show the rules, and then we're going to load in balances again, which will trigger the rules. And then the expectation is that these accounts should then be grouped. You'll notice in here, just quickly, that I've only got 3 GLs. I've included a key 3, which is department in this particular instance of Blackline. And ultimately what I'm trying to do is group it back up to the company code in GL level. Now, I'm going to go into the auto grouping rules just to show you. So here is the auto grouping rules themselves, and again I'll explain a little bit around the screen just now. So we've got the order of the rules. You will see there's some duplicates, and I'll explain that in a wee second. We've then got the name of the particular group, and again it's the ATP03 ones that we're kind of looking at. The ones further down, again, these are kind of Blackline pre-populated ones rather than anything that I've created. Now, the auto-grouping rules, as I say, there's a 10,000 limit, but there's a 10,000 limit per different module. So we're focused on the account ones today, but the same functionality exists across the FRA module, variants, and consolidation as well. Now, I'm just going to filter account just so we see the ones that we're looking at in here just now. We've also got the group name. So this is ultimately, where this group or where the criteria will push, the accounts into which particular group's reconciliation. And then I've also here got a description as well. Similar to the account rules, I've made sure that actually my criteria is visible on the front, so I don't have to keep clicking into different rules to try and find out, exactly which rule would impact which particular GL or company code combination as well. We've also got a status in here, so I can see whether it's enabled or disabled. All my examples here are enabled. You can see here they're set to run an import, and then ultimately, has that rule been used at some point to assign an account? So you can see the ATP3 ones, none of them have been used now. Where this is key, and I mentioned earlier that we can't delete these. You'll see if I click on that, I do have the option to delete, but we don't want to press that. As I say, it will cause errors if we try to replace that rule further down. But I can absolutely, change any of these ones with the edit option, and absolutely fine to delete these ones as well. Now, if I click into the rule and just quickly, and I'll just explain just a little bit around the screen. So not a big screen in comparison to some other ones that are in Blackline. Again, we just see the general information here at the top, which is really what we had on the previous screen. And here you can begin to see, the criteria that's been built out for this one. So as I say, fundamentally, I want to pick everything back up and roll it back up to company code and GL level. So, where an entity equals ATP03, and the account equals 1, always 0 is 1 as well. Now, again, here we've got the same basic criteria that we had within the account rule. So again, plenty of flexibility, around, identifying exactly which scope of accounts we can pick up. There is a limit, again, of 20 in here. My example is relatively straightforward. And again, the same sort of logic exists, an Excel nested statement, basically, in there as well with the brackets. And then the final bit here at the bottom is just around, which particular account group I want to assign it to. So, as I say, you can see that in there. It's worth mentioning that there is actually a Blackline upload template for this. I don't think anybody would want to sit there and manually create thousands of rules. So as I say, there is an upload template for this, which appears in the standard Blackline import file as well. So again, you can see similar sort of things. We've got the rule order. You'll see there's 2 lines. It's a little bit bigger. There's a couple of lines, and that's just 1 line for each criteria. There's my rule name, my rule description, the group that it's going to go to, and then here on the right-hand side, again, is it enabled? Is it turned on to run an import? What is the logic? And then there's my filter criteria as well. So again, you can see effectively the same thing, within there as well. So, as I say, maybe if you're doing 1 or 2 rules, maybe manual is the way to go. But certainly to do this on scale, the upload file is the way to go. If I click back here, what's really nice functionality actually from Blackline is I can export this. I'm not going to press the button just now, but what it will do is it will produce a file, and that file will actually be in the same format as this. So effectively, I can copy it back into the template, and if I wanted to create more rules, I can use that as the basis essentially to create it. Now, as I say, I want to go and quickly just load in some balances again here for ATP03. So if I go back to my view rec screen, as I showed earlier, sorry, it's changed the view. Back. So here again, here's my list, and again, just as I say, nothing in the account group column. So if I go and import a little bit of data again, so I'm just going to pick another account file. I'm just picking the other company code one this time. This should hopefully run in 20 odd seconds or something like that. So just check it. Let's go through the little steps, and just there we are. So that one has successfully completed. And then with a bit of luck, if I refresh this, what we should hopefully see is the account group column on the right-hand side is now populated. Now, at the end, which is maybe not the best place, so I'll move up a little bit. But here you can then see, that the accounts, are all assigned to those particular groups. And it just removes a lot of the manual effort from the process as well. Now, I appreciate we're almost bang on time, and I have covered that at a fair pace, but I just wanted to maybe quickly check if there was any questions on any of that just now. No? Okay. So let me maybe just cover off last couple of slides. So, and as I say, we will share all of the recordings with you. I just wanted to mention just a little bit here around the next steps. So certainly, if there are any questions, after this session, then please do feel free to reach out to me. You've obviously got my email address because I've shared on the invites as well. We will share the recording, so we'll get out as soon as we can. We do have a LinkedIn page, which we would encourage you to follow. Again, we put some different events on that page related to Blackline. And I just also wanted to flag that our next webinar in February will be on Blackline reporting. We're planning through 2026 effectively to run these on a monthly cadence as well. So again, I will share the details out with that, but it will probably be around the 19th of February as well. Okay, I'll maybe just pause just finally, just in case there is any final questions before we wrap up just now at all.
I had a quick one, Alan, in case no one else has a question.
Sure.
I may have missed it on the on earlier call, but for auto grouping, if in our instance we don't see that available, is it one of those things that Blackline has to activate, or does it automatically come with the instance? Because I think sometimes I see it and sometimes I don't.
Yeah, it should always
available.
it should always be there. There's no action for Blackline to, I think some of the settings, custom frequencies or something, it's grayed out and only Blackline are able to hit that tick box. There is no menu options or anything for auto grouping, so it should be there by default. If it's not there, then I would be raising a ticket with Blackline and querying why it's not. But it's standard out of the box functionality that should be there for everybody.
Thank you.
I guess, Mads, maybe just the only exception might be if somebody's not taking one of the modules that account grouping is related to. So if somebody's just doing matching, you may not see it. That may be the only use case I could imagine.
Yeah. Okay. And just on account rules, is there a limit on the number of rules that you can have?
No.
Or you can have as many?
Not that I'm aware of, and I guess I didn't talk about earlier a little bit, but it is possible to build these rules in such a way that we can do dynamic risk ratings within Blackline. So Blackline can effectively assess, an account over certain criteria, balances, activity, that type of thing, and ultimately drive a risk rating from that. I've built models like that before, which has ended up in a lot of rules, but I've never ever come to have had an issue with the a total number of rules. I'm sure there is one, but I imagine it'll be in the thousands, and I don't think anybody should ever need thousands of account rules.
Okay, no, that sounds good. Thank you. That's very helpful.
No problem. Okay. Yeah, I think from anybody else just now, I appreciate we're going a couple of minutes over time. No? Okay. In that case, we can close off this call. As I say, I'll get the recording and stuff sent out. Any questions in the meantime, then please do feel free to reach out to me, and hopefully we'll speak again in February. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Alan. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.